Hi guys, I'm Andy Moss from Moss Technical. Now Moss Technical are the UK supplier for Niko Home Control products for the UK. We provide training courses for electricians and installers to help you get into the industry. And today I'm going to be talking to you about Niko Home Control on bus wiring this time. Now electrical cabling wiring hasn't really changed for about 30 to 40 years, so there's a very good reason for wiring in this new method of cabling. What we refer to as the modern electrical installation. This is a typical example of how we used to do it. Now, electrical wiring has not changed for about 30 to 40 years at least. This is an example of a 3-gang switch wired in a 2-way configuration, so a similar switch at the other side of the room. As you can see, there's a lot of cables there, which means a lot of time to chase these in, and of course to terminate. The upshot of that is that switch is only ever going to operate that particular lighting circuit. So we've got 3 circuits here, and you can see the cabling involved. This is a typical example again of a 2-gang switch, and as you can see, still a lot of cables. So similar configuration, 2-gang, 2-way switch, and therefore afterwards no flexibility. With Niko Home Control on bus cabling, we quite simply use, we can use any cable actually, but this is a Cat5 cable. Data cable, but we're only using 2 cores of it, so I'll show you how that connects later on. It's only 26 volts, which means it can go on the wall inside the bathroom now, which of course we couldn't do with mains cabling because it contravened the regulations. But anyway, we'll get started. I'll walk you through the installation, and then you can see how easy it is to go together. So the easiest way to understand how Niko Home Control on bus cabling goes together is to visualise a bicycle wheel. So you've got the hub of the wheel and then you've got the spokes. Now the spokes radiate from the central point, and that's exactly what we do with Niko Home Control. Our hub of the wheel effectively is our main panel, and at the central panel here, this is where we put our modules for all our controls, and then the circuits radiate from there in a radial star fashion. So we start off the installation with our connected controller. So our connected controller is the brain of the installation. This is what handles all the bus commands. It connects to the internet, and you can also connect up to 3 IP devices off it, like touchscreens and video door stations. We can go much more than that using a network switch, but we've got some direct connections off it already. So this goes in the panel. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to whip the cover off the panel just to give you a visualization of how this goes together, quite simply. So when we pop it in the cabinet, we start on the bottom left here, and then all of our other modules, which I'll walk you through in a second, they basically just snap onto the rail as well. Now, on the top of the modules, the easiest way to connect anything is without a screwdriver, of course. It makes it super quick, super easy. And as you can see here, we've got a little slider. So once we put the modules together, of course, we can slide those, and that's it, connected, linked. Okay, so very, very quick and easy to assemble the panel. Okay, and we build the cabinet up, and we build the panel up in whatever configuration we need for the functionality of the house. So again, I'm going to just walk you through the modules now. Okay, so here are our modules for the installation. Now, there's an example here of each of the modules, but of course, if you've got more circuits than are capable of an individual module, then of course we just multiply the modules out and supply more modules. So as we've already said, we've got the brain of the installation. This is our connected controller. Then we have a module for switching. Well, we've actually got 2 modules for switching. We've got a 3-way switching module and a 6-way switching module. Now, the supply comes into the bottom, and then it goes out to the individual circuits, 1 to 6 on this one, and then 1 to 3 on that one. Okay, and again, they've still got the same connection method within the cabinet, nice and quick and easy. So, of course, if you've got 24 switch circuits, you need 4 of those. Then we're into dimming. Now we can dim pretty much any type of circuit. This is what we call a universal dimming module. This will control 2 circuits between 5 and 400 watts per channel, depending on the load. And we set the type of load with the dip switches here. Now we can do leading edge, trailing edge for LED, for transformers, for halogen, for incandescent. And with some LEDs, they don't like being dimmed down too low. So we also have the little potentiometer on the front here that can limit the dim minimum level so it doesn't go down too low, because of course some of them start to flash at that point. But yeah, leading and trailing edge is selectable. Again, same principle, feed in at the bottom, live and neutral, and then out of the top there per channel. And again, if you've got multiple dimming circuits, we just multiply the modules up. 10 dimming circuits is of course 5 modules. Then we have 2 more types of dimming. We've got what we call 0 to 10 and 1 to 10 now. 0 to 10 is a DC controlled 0 to 10 volts control cable. So that can then control what we call a universal dimming module. So we can go much greater, heavier loads, but we're controlling those loads from a 0 to 100% with a 0 to 10 volt control voltage. So that's our 0 to 10. This is our 1 to 10. And our 1 to 10 has got, of course, the live, and this time it's got a switch live per channel, and it's also got the DC control voltage. So dimmable drivers that need a 1 to 10 volt control, these would come off this module here. And that'll control 3 circuits of 1 to 10 volts, and this will control 3 circuits of 0 to 10. We can also control Dali as well. Then once our rail's full, of course, the more modules we've got, we need to go from rail to rail to rail. We can't obviously get everything on the same rail. When we go from rail to rail, then we have a rail coupler, and this is what starts the rail. So all we do quite simply is we connect plus to plus, minus to minus, B1 to B1 and B2 to B2. So of course that then takes us onto the next rail, which then allows us to start the rail with the slider. Now, the great principle of this is we mentioned about the bicycle wheel with a hub where all the circuits come back to one central point. Of course, if you've got a large house or you've got a different wing or a detached building, you don't need to bring all of those circuits back to the same location. Quite simply, we can put a longer cable between this rail coupler and the next rail coupler, and we can do what we call a decentral installation. So now effectively you've got 2 bicycle wheels, 2 hubs, and then the circuits go back to the respective panel. If we're controlling motors, motorized blinds or curtains, then we can use our motor module, and this is an open and close operation, 3 circuits per module. You bring your feed in the bottom, and it acts like a center off rocker, so we can do DC control, reversing the polarity, but we can also do mains, live up, live down, and that can control our blinds and curtains. So 3 channels per module there. Our heating module, this covers up to 4 zones of heating, so you don't need to buy your controls from your third-party heating company now. This will do up to 4 zones of heating, whether it's underfloor or radiators, and we can control any boiler system, because effectively what this is doing is this is controlling the heat to the relevant zone. So we have also a delay contact here, which is a trigger for the boiler or the pump, and of course the contacts here respond to the thermostat in the room, the Niko thermostat. So that will control up to 4 circuits. We can switch live to the 230 volt actuators, but we can also switch 24 volts or any other voltage actuator as well. So that's underfloor heating or radiator, so zone heating. The good thing is when you look at the actual overall cost of Niko, then you just need to take into account that you can pinch some of the budget from the heating quote, because of course the heating company would have supplied you the figures for your cost for the thermostats and the wiring centre and the brain. We've already got that covered. Why would we do that? Well, of course, we've got control from anywhere in the world, but also when we press our roll off, we can force our thermostats to turn down, so it saves you energy. Then we have a ventilation module. So this is a 3-speed module to influence a ventilation system. Now, as well as controlling the speed of the ventilation system, normally ventilation systems will run at a particular speed throughout, but we can force it to go low when you go out of the house or delay high when you go into a bathroom, or you might want to force it to go low during the small hours of the morning, so it saves you a bit of energy. Also, what we can do is we can feed the supply of the ventilation system through our switching module. So in the event of a fire, when the fire alarm activates, we can actually turn the power off to that particular module. So lots of integrated benefits there. Then we come to our energy monitoring. Now we can do up to 20 channels of energy, electricity, what you're generating, pulse counting for water and gas. And this is a single channel electricity measuring module. And all we do quite simply is we put our clamp, there's our clamp, that clamps onto the cable that we want to read the current consumption through. And this is a 63 amp clamp, and that will go on 16 millimeter tails. And this is a single channel module. We also have a 3-channel version as well. As I mentioned, we can do up to 20 channels, so of course you can multiply these out if you want to. So you could read the total electricity, what your solar panels are producing, and also what the granny flat is using, or the hot tub, for instance. So you can just read individual channels. Of course, this cable is a 63 amp, or this clamp is a 63 amp clamp. Of course, that will go on 16 mil tails, but if you've got larger tails, or if you want to read a higher power, we have a larger clamp as well. The module comes with the smaller clamp, or you can buy the larger clamp there, which will take you up to 120 amps, as you can see. Okay, and of course it'll go around a larger tail as well. Then we have our 2 modules for sensing. Now, in my opinion, these are the most valuable modules within the installation. Of course, everybody wants to switch and dim circuits, operate motorized blinds and heating, but these ones here, we have what we call a digital sensor module and an analog sensor module. The digital sensor module will allow you to bring in things like volt-free contacts, so you can connect your fire alarm or your smoke detectors to this. You can connect your intruder alarm to this. So we can now do functions like when you arm your alarm system, it performs an all-off through Niko. Or if your fire alarm activates, it will turn your lights on. Okay, so lots of ways of integrating third-party volt-free contacts into it. It could be that you put a float switch in a basement, so if the basement starts to flood, the Niko system can send you a message. But again, that's all done through the digital sensor module. Then we have the analog sensor module. So whereas the digital sensor module is volt-free contacts, the analog sensor module will read a 0 to 10 volt. So this could be wind speed, it could be carbon dioxide, it could be humidity, and that's where it's reading effectively a 0 to 10 volt percentage. So we can say now if the wind speed gets higher than 40 miles an hour, retract the canopy. So the system will then tell the motor module to close the canopy. So there's a couple of examples of the modules, and of course the more circuits you have, the more modules you can multiply, and therefore the panel just grows in size. So now we're going to talk about the wall controls and what goes actually into the room. So I'm just going to move down a little bit and show you that. Okay, so how are we going to make our home control installation work now? Well, we need to select our wall controls for inside the rooms. We need to select motion detectors, video door stations and things like that. So firstly, the easiest way to install Niko Home Control is by using a European style back box. Okay, there's a reason for that. Obviously Niko is a Belgian product, manufactured in St. Nicholas in Belgium, and of course they adopt the European back boxes. You can use a UK back box, a UK single back box, but it is easier to use a European one. Now we supply these as well, so we can help you with those. Now this is the plasterboard version. Okay, it needs a 68mm hole, or we have the solid wall brick version. So that's chopped into the wall and then plastered up too. But either way, the reason that we use a round back box is because if we take the printed circuit board, the wall plate, then you'll see that fits on quite nicely. You'll see here that all the 4 corners are supported there on the wall, okay, because they overlap. And the reason being is when we put our button on and then we select a surround, we need to be able to push against that back box to be able to snap the surround on, you see. So of course if the four corners aren't supported, then of course the PCB is going to go into the wall, and of course then it will it'll be more difficult to get the surround on. Of course it's easier as well to cut a round hole in a tile, for instance, so that makes it a bit easier for the install anyway. Okay, so I'm just going to put that down. So we start off with our printed circuit board, our PCB. This is the standard thing for throughout the installation, and we do this in a metal and a plastic version. The metal version is slightly better for more uneven walls, but there's nothing wrong with the plastic version, of course. How does that connect? Well, quite simply, we take our data cable, and our data cable, as I showed you previously, there's our two cores. Okay, the others are just spare, they can be tucked away. It's 26 volt DC, and all we do quite simply is push fit terminal there and push fit terminal there, and that's it connected. Okay, then all we do, as I showed you just previously, we take our wall control, pop that on, put our surround on, and it's finished. So it's very, very quick and easy to install. Now, the wall controls we've got, I'm just going to talk about these two items here separately. But if I walk you through the wall controls, we have what we call generic controls. And the generic controls, we have one button. Okay, and you can probably see on the back there, there is a unique code. This is a hexadecimal code. Every button has got its own unique identity, okay? Because when you push the button, the address of that button goes to the controller, and the controller can then tell the modules what to do, because it knows you've pressed this particular button. Now, the beauty of this is they all sit on the same wall plate. As you can see, they're all the same size, and they've all got the same principle behind them, okay? So, the generic controls we can do pretty much anything with. Switching, dimming, motor control, we can control ventilation, we can create moods and scenes, and so these are the main controls for the installation: 1 button, 2 button, 4 button, and 6 button. Now, as you can see on the left hand side here, there's a few different colours here. Now, Niko Home Control products, or Niko produce finishes, there's 28 different surrounds in different finishes and colours, and there's 14 different button colours as well, you know, and finishes. So of course you've got, if you multiply those out, you could potentially have 392 different colour and finish combinations. The ones we've got here are anthracite. These are our most common colour in the UK, and they go with pretty much anything. So of course you could put them with this is the aluminium alu steel grey, fit quite nicely in there, or look quite nicely. And of course we've got the champagne steel, which is again one of our sort of best sellers. This is a steel surround in a contemporary style in the champagne colour. So the anthracite with champagne is a really popular colour combination. So the 1 button, 2 button, and 6 button, 1 button, 2 button, 4 button, and 6 button, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Then we have, if you want to go a bit more specific, we have specific controls for motorised blinds. We have single channel, and we have 2 channel. Okay, so this is for motorised blinds, motorising them open and close. We also have single and 2 channel dimming control. Now these are specifically for dimming. Now when you're dimming with a generic control, the operation is tap on, tap off, press and hold to dim up, press and hold to dim down. If you're dimming with these, we have on, off, or press and hold to dim up, press and hold to dim down, and the middle button is a favourite setting, so you can set your own favourite setting. Then we have a couple more. We've got our audio control, so we can control our Sonos and Bose music systems. And we've got another button, which is our leaving the house button, which has got a little engraved icon on there, laser etched icon for the leaving the house. And again, if you press and hold this button for say 1 second, that can then execute an all-off function. We also have, this is our eco display. So our eco display would read our energy and it would display our energy. So this would generally go by the front door. We have a button here with a leaf on it. This is can be programmed as the all-off function, for instance. And we've got another button here, which is the present simulation button. So you can activate present simulation when you leave the house. we've got two more, but they both look the same, so I'm going to show you the one. Thermostat and mood control. This is our Niko thermostat, and there is another version which looks exactly the same, which is our mood control, so we can create moods and scenes from one of them, and we can control our heating from the other one. We also have another method of controlling our heating, which I'll show you shortly. Okay, so I explained previously that we had a single PCB here, and we would take our wall control, which has got its own unique identity, and of course that snaps onto there, and of course then we choose our single surround, and on it goes. Now what if we want to add music control or motor control or a different functionality next to the bed, for example? Well, all we do is we take our single surround off, we pop our button off, we take our cables out the back and pop that off to one side, because what we have is now we have our double PCB. Now we do these in two-fold, three-fold and four-fold, single horizontal, and we have a connection unit now, so we can decide whether we're going to put this on one side and spill to the left or the right, or if it was the vertical type, up or down. This one's already got it fitted, so as you can see this sits on the back, still the same two connection points as it was with the single PCB. But now what we can do is, this sits on the same round back box, so of course we don't have to chop the wall or anything, it's still the same two connections. But now what we do is we take our existing wall control, which goes back on, and then we can choose, for instance, an audio control, a music control button, and then pop that next to it. Okay, and then we choose our double surround, and then on it goes. And then that's it, finished. Of course, at any time, if we wanted to change our wall control functionality from, say, a single to a double, we can take the single off and we can put a double on instead, and then it's just simple programming and setup. If you have an environment where you need a tougher switch, either a weatherproof switch or you need a metal clad switch, for instance in a workshop, we can convert that into a Niko Home Control smart switch, effectively using our push button interface, and this just connects across the back of the switch, and so when you operate that switch in a retractable fashion, it can turn that switch into effectively a 4-gang switch, a 4-button switch. Okay, so it effectively makes it act like a 4-button switch. Okay, motion detection now. We can control our motion. Outside we have our black, okay, which is quite sleek looking, and our white in the same version. Now those are outdoor motion detectors. We've got a 14-meter range on this one and an 11-meter range on this one. Now they can control outside lighting circuits, but we can also, through the programming, make it do other things. So if somebody comes onto your property during the daytime or during the evening time when you're in the house, just the outside lights come on. But if somebody comes onto your property while you're out in the evening, outside lights come on, then the bedroom, then the landing, then the hall. This is also an outdoor motion detector, but it's also an indoor one as well because it's IP rated. This is our mini occupancy detector, a mini PIR. Now, requires a 32mm hole. As you can see, very small and discreet, so it can go on the wall without really being noticed. Shorter range because it's a smaller detector, but it can go under a canopy outside or under a sofa. It is IP56 rated, but great for just operating lights internally in general. Okay, so those are our motion detectors and our wall controls. We do have another wall control, a very special wall control, which we've just had launched. This is our Digital Black, which is a multi-award winning, it won the best home technology product at the Build It Awards. I'm going to show you that in a working fashion shortly. That sits on our back plate, and again, this is just a 24-volt supply. Okay, I think I've shown you guys previously on this, and there is another video. And you can control up to 12 different actions, so very interactive, intuitive display. Okay, we also have our touchscreen. I'm going to show you that shortly as well. And then we have our video door station. Now this is our video entry door station. As you can see, it's a 3mm anodized aluminium front face. This sits on by your front door or on your gate. This is an illuminated pad here. Now, when we've reversed engraved our little plaque there, then obviously that shows and illuminates your name, so you can have that engraved as well. Okay, once it's on the wall, Niko even supplies some nice discreet screws, aluminium anodized screws, so it's very, very neat. So I'm going to show you the touchscreen now, and also the digital plaque in operation. So this is our touchscreen that sits on the wall. This generally goes in the main habitable area. If we just wake it up, when we tap it, it automatically comes onto the dashboard, which is where you can put your favourites. If we press on the little control tab there, we can now select our rooms. So I can have a look in Nikki's office, and I can turn her light on, and I can turn her heater on, or turn it off accordingly. We can turn the lights on in the sales office, okay? Because of course we're in a commercial environment here. We can turn our music on. Okay, so we can play music through Sonos, and we can control the volume of that accordingly. Okay.
You need something small but quicker.
Okay, so lots of things we can do with this, including video entry. If I operate our video door station, you'll see the video door station come into play there. We can accept the call, release the door. Of course, you can hear my voice in the background. A little bit of feedback because we're in the same environment, but you can see where the benefit of this would come into play. So main habitable area, this would be controlling the whole home. So this is our digital plaque. This is, as I say, our multi-award winning product. In the UK, it won the Best Home Technology product at the Build It Awards. This is a demonstration version. It's just playing a little video effectively that shows it in operation. But there are other videos that I've done on our YouTube channel that shows it in real life use. This is scrolling in carousel mode, so you can flick from function to function. So you can operate your motorized blinds, your lighting, your music. You can do many things, and this is user definable. It's just showing it now in grid mode. So there's more things actually showing on the actual display itself. So you can do what you want with it, really. The client can choose up to 12 of their favorite actions. This is designed more as a room-specific control or an area-specific control. So you don't want to be controlling things elsewhere in the house. You would have this local to that particular room. The beauty of this is it is also a thermostat as well. So it combines your music, your lighting, your heating, all in one easy to understand, easy to use wall control. So an absolute game changer in the industry. So that was a quick walkthrough of the products and components for Niko Home Control on bus wiring. If you want to know more, contact us on 01656 746 766 or on our website homecontrol.uk.com. We offer training courses for electricians and installers, so if you want to get into the industry and use Niko products, then also get in touch. But thanks for watching. There's lots of other videos on our YouTube channel, which is Moss Technical Niko Home Control. See you again soon.